Mets and Cubs. I am just blown away by this Mets starting rotation. And there seems to be no end to it. I mean, you've got Matz, who didn't lose a regular season game, coming up tonight against the Cubs, and Zach Wheeler is waiting to come back from Tommy John surgery. So how many World Series championships in a row are the New York Mets about to win?
I mean, at least 7 or 8. You know, that's the interesting thing. I think that's what's really funny about this collision with these two series is that you know, you have the great young hitters for the Cubs and you have the great young arms for the Mets. And I guess the thing that you look at, you know, is it does seem that young arms are a little more fragile. And so you look at the next couple of years and you say, well, you know, which of these guys are going to get hurt? Now, I guess the unique thing is that a lot of these guys have already gotten hurt. You know, Harvey and DeGrom and Matz and now Wheeler have all gone through their first Tommy John surgery. So now, does that bode well? Does that bode ill? Who knows? And that's the thing about the arms, right? You kind of enjoy them when you have them. And right now they have them. Or at least they have 4/5 of them. And it's something to watch every night. It really is. And you can see how impressed the Cubs are. They don't want to be impressed, but it's hard not to be when you see what they're getting thrown at them every day.
In the regular season, the Cubs could not lose to the Mets, and now obviously the Mets cannot lose to the Cubs. Is it only the Mets' dominant pitching, or are there other things at work here in your mind?
No, there's definitely other things that work here, guys. If you look at the 7 games the Mets lost to the Cubs, and look, I mean, they lost them, you know, fair and fair, but that was before they got Cespedes. It was before they called up Michael Conforto. And, you know, you look at some of the lineups they were throwing out at the Cubs, certainly when they played them at home in July. I mean, you know, you had John Mayberry hitting 5th. And John Mayberry, you know, hasn't been playing baseball in 3 months. You had, you know, look at those lineups. I mean, it was a completely different team. So in a lot of ways, that, you know, is really an unfair metric in some ways because, you know, I'm sure Cubs fans are saying, well, what happened? I mean, we handled these guys during the regular season, but it was a completely different team. It really was. And, you know, what was also different is, you know, the 2 times the Cubs faced DeGrom this year, they beat him up pretty good. Mm-hmm. And it kind of looked like it was going that way last night, and then he settled down and he retired the last 11 to face him, which is, you know, kind of par for the course. It's what these guys do every night. And it's, and I'll tell you what, if you haven't seen Matz yet, he's fun to watch too. I mean, he's, you know, he doesn't have quite the bulletproof veneer that the other guys have developed, but you know, he throws easy 95 from the left side, and it's just it's fun to watch every night. They send somebody out there who's fun to watch.
You know, Mike, there's not a one of them that's older than 27. Most of them are in their early 20s. Yet they seem so poised. Isn't that amazing about them?
It really is. You know, I was really impressed with Noah Syndergaard. In Game 2 against the Dodgers, again, the Mets lost. But, I mean, something like 17 of his first 31 pitches were 100 miles an hour or faster, which is just absurd. But even beyond that, you know, he came in for an inning of relief in Game 5. And I think there were a lot of people who you know, he's a rookie kid. You know, it's the biggest inning of the season at that point, and he was terrific. And, you know, he was terrific in this series also. I mean, he's a guy who's really come leaps and bounds. I mean, he made his major league debut in May here at Wrigley Field, and he looked like you know, a kid pitcher. I mean, he threw hard, but he didn't know where he was going. He looked a little shaken up at times. But, you know, of all those guys, he's the guy who kind of looks, you know, stoic now. I mean, nothing seems to bother him. And I think that's what's really interesting. And what's even more interesting to me, guys, is, you know, Matt Harvey was the guy with all the news around him and stuff for so long. And, you know, I don't think it's unfair to say he's the 3rd best pitcher on this roster right now, which is really staggering.